and then we get the red card obviously helps and changes the game completely. And it's nice to be on the other side of that red card situation. Um, and then the first half was choppy. I thought, we I don't think we haven't played up a man, and you could kind of see that. And I think at halftime there were some adjustments, and then the game kind of played out the way we wanted it to, and longer possessions, breaking down low pressure, and just more chances and more quality. Matty Bogusz comes in and helps the game, and overall we were able to manage minutes as well. So a good night, Open Cup's just about advancing, really. And the first one, as I've talked about all week, is threading the needle of resting and getting guys some minutes. And so overall, I think it was a successful night.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Armand?
Hey, Ben. Following up on that minutes management, any performances that stood out? There were several players that usually don't see minutes, and they got to start tonight the first time. Any performances?
I thought overall, I don't know if anybody jumped off the page necessarily, which is, again, sort of normal for guys that haven't gotten a lot of rhythm so far. And I thought Eber hung in there and had a pretty good night. It was nice to see him back out there, and Sam Vine's first minutes. The kid Rash was playing for Seton Hall last year. So this jump he's taken it in stride, and I think he had a good performance. Franco's pushing his minutes. Negri, who's trying to compete to get into the starting lineup. Hector was Hector, and him and Buzak started to create a better relationship, I think, in that second half. Lingers gives you what Linger, gives you everything he has, every play. And it's nice because he's willing to do anything for this team. I've played him in a bunch of different positions, and he takes his goal really well. And I thought overall he had a very good night. And Nick can score goals. He's still working on some of the finer details of everything. And then some of the quote unquote starters came in and brought real quality and the right mentality to the game, which is not always easy. When there's a red card and you're up by a few goals, they came in and turned the game up a little bit.
And I wanted to ask you about Linger. Like you said, he plays everywhere. He gives you 110%. Where does Ben Olsen think is Linger's best position on the pitch?
Where he played tonight, probably second forward in a 4-4-2. That's probably his best spot. He's comfortable underneath. He can go in the box. He's fearless. So, it's been unfortunate that we've had to move him around in some different spots with the lack of wide backs. We've had to use him at wing back at times, and he's willing to do anything.
And my last question is, it's kind of nice having dictating the game, having full control. And Ponce got a goal tonight. How big is that for him? Psychologically.
Well, you could see the bench. You could see the reaction from everybody, and look. He does so much, and the guys really appreciate what he brings to this team, both on and off the field, and in and out of possession. And we all know that you're a DP striker. Goals matter, and you guys continue to ask me about them, and so it's nice to get that first one out of the way for him.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thanks.
With this, it brings you another game at the end of the month. It's a question I asked you not too long ago. You speak about time management. You've got a closer of a month. Just how you feel.
We're excited about that. We talked about that. We've this year has been just like home games and then a bye week and a home game. This is what we're starting to get healthy-ish. Our tour's looking better, and he's on the field. Jack, we're still kind of bringing him along. So hopefully we can get those two back in this fold here and have a team that we can manage this month. But it's an important one, and so we gotta get back. We gotta patch these guys up. Again, we managed some minutes tonight, and there's a lot to all these games coming at you. You got to kind of really think through it, but it's never perfect. But tonight, I think we're able to manage games and be in a good headspace for and physical space for the weekend.
I know it's early, but what must the team do
game by game in the Open Cup, man. It is a little bit different in the league, and it's just, is it on a Tuesday? Is it on a Wednesday? Is it away? Is it home? Who's available? Who's on the weekend? There's I told you, Open Cup is, figuring out the right recipe is always, it's fun. It's fun, and I think Louisville comes in here. I know they upset Austin, so they'll be looking to do that again against an MLS team.
And then lastly for me, just how much of this is a stepping stone for the group?
Winning's contagious. It's just you especially here, and just trying to make this place a place where we get all the points or advance, and overall we've played pretty well at home. I said it before, the 2 road games were not great, and so but here at home we've been pretty good, and the results will change. I believe that we've got to get some bodies back and find a winning mentality in the MLS, but this won't hurt.
We'll go to the back.
Hey, Coach, here in the back. First time you've had Maurer in between the 2 posts since he's been here in Houston.
Yeah.
And obviously, his didn't get a whole lot of action that first half, but in the second half, very much so. What was the decision making behind finally getting him minutes? What was his reaction to your decision? And what do you feel like that he could possibly bring at least the depth?
Well, I guess the best compliment I could give Jimmy is I didn't even mention him. Right? It was just like, yeah, Jimmy went in and did what Jimmy does. He's a good goalkeeper. He's experienced. He manages the game, and he's a good passing goalkeeper that can make some saves. And there's nothing you could do about the goal. A very good game. But again, I just mentioned a bunch of guys. I didn't even mention him because I just expect him to come in and keep a high level.
But at that same point, do you feel like that there is now going to be at least a 50-50 share of the job between him and Bond going forward?
There's competition every day. So I have a Preston Burpo guides a lot of that. And I think Jimmy, he didn't hurt himself. That's for sure. But Bondi's overall has been pretty good this year, and so I don't anticipate that. But this is pro sports, so they're all competing every day. And Jimmy again didn't hurt himself today.
And I know you mentioned just now that the league is different than the Open Cup, but you mentioned on Saturday that because how early the season is, it's important to notice that while the roster is still young, it's not way to overreact. It's just the reality. But the reality is that a lot of those fresh faces looked just seamlessly ready to respond after what happened on Saturday. Do you agree with that?
Fresh faces. You mean some of the guys off the bench? Guys
off the bench and guys just needing minutes, just clearly overall.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I thought the first half was really choppy. I wasn't happy at halftime and the way we went about being up a man. I thought we were rushing the game. It wasn't collective. It wasn't. It was the press wasn't. I think collective enough. We're trying to hit the home run too many times rather than take 30, 40 passes and let the game tell you when to kind of stick the knife in, so to speak. And it just cost us a lot of running, and we were just kind of passive. So a little bit, tuned them up a little bit at halftime, and I thought the subs came in and did a good job.
And lastly, considering that your next opponent, at least in the Open Cup level, is also a USL team in Louisville, probably haven't gotten the chance to probably see them a whole lot at least play. For you, is the immediate focus going back to the MLS season and trying to at least focus things there, or are you going to keep at least your coaching staff at least point in mind and preparing for the next couple of weeks? Because managing that and managing the season are two different things.
Yeah, we'll deal with Louisville when, Louisville's, come into town. But we have Orlando and San Diego. Who else? Austin.
Austin. Yep.
I think
And then
about a week ahead. That's as much as my brain can handle. Good.